Come here now, girl.
Hello and welcome to WhatsMap, your one-stop shop for everything workshop. I'm BonBonB and you're very, very welcome. Right, today we're going to lead with a map which is packed with trees from a very attractive part of the world. If you know New Hampshire in the United States of America, we are off there today. And it's not a bad effort, especially when you consider that
it's my first map.
That's right, third consecutive map in a row from a first timer. Today's second map is not a first timer, it's a creator we've featured on the show 5 times in the past, and this one is an interesting build. It's been dedicated to their grandmother, and I applaud that. Listen, if you can't look after the old lady, what can you do? Is a good shout and a very interesting map with some talking points as well. But before we have a look at any of those, we've got this. That's right, hitting that like button really does support the channel, gets me seen by more people and helps me grow a little bit more every single day. Thank you for your support. Today's first map is Conway by FrostByte. New Hampshire is where we are. The thumbnail taken without the theme mix that we're using today. We've got a very packed and interesting start square. I couldn't have picked a better one on the map that we're looking at. Terrain heights, there's plenty of buildable space, but there's a lot of trees that you're going to want to work around. The resources, it's a bit of field painting, but you can use them in a playable manner, I guess. And then if you've got Sunset Harbour and you want to do some fishing, there's anchovies in the lakes, which is good. There's salmon in the river too. Right, off to the workshop. What do we need? Well, it's a mass transit map. You will need mass transit for this one. Tree anarchy and optimized outside connections. There are actually some extra settings on this map. Recommended to use theme mixer and the theme mix, which is basically Revy with some atmospheric settings. I think it was the realistic 1.2 LUT we went with, I believe. Can't remember exactly, but anyway, there are some extra settings there with disabling dummy traffic and so forth, which I did that, and then I just let everything run down. There was a lot of traffic across the map, and just disabling the dummy traffic, it's just a way of keeping the traffic off of the roads. Now, some people may say that that's kind of cheating. Well, you might say that. But if it's there, if it's in the instructions, if it's this is how you play this map, then it's not cheating. But yeah, I mean, map purists. I know there are a few purists of you out there. Map purists will have their own opinion. You'll also have your own opinion on this. Like, we've no trees under the roads, have we? There's no trees under. This is great. We're heavily densely forested and there are no trees under the road. However, again, in the settings in the description, there was instruction for how to use tree anarchy, which means that I've switched off showing the trees on map loading. So if there are any trees under here, they're not going to show through. Again, is this cheating? Is this a way of bypassing the BonBon's rules of battle and making sure you don't have any trees show through? Well, it is a way of doing it, and again, I'm just following the instructions here. Normally I would let the trees show through so you can see what's showing through on the underside. Do you think there's any trees underneath this road? Do you? Do you think there's any trees under the side? Go on, little bet. Do you think there are trees under there? Well, I'll tell you what. A bit later on, we'll have a little look with Move It, shall we? We'll have a little look with Move It. In terms of routing, though, okay, we've got plenty of trees. That's pretty much the least you can ask for on this particular map. In terms of routing, I'm okay with these roads. I'm liking the idea of going up to 2 lanes. I mean, I don't know about the selection of roads there for that. It just doesn't really flow. But it's not wrong. It's not wrong. And for lane management, to allow traffic turning left to right, the asymmetrical roads there is a good way to go. Yeah, I probably wouldn't have bothered. Because it just doesn't quite look right. There's going to need to tweak about with intersection, what's it about? IMT, intersection marking tool. There we go. The intersection marking tool, and no controller to get that looking really slick. You could do it, but as it is like that, it just looks a bit weird on a map, which is quite nice, quite striking, this map, the way that it's been done. Anyway, we're following the roads, heading towards the start square, where it's going to thin out in terms of tree covers. And in fact, I think we might be about there now. It's thinned out a little bit. This is your main buildable area. I'm not going to show you the exact position because, unfortunately, I had to use the 81 tile mod. For some bizarre reason, Common Ground mod was not working on this particular map. And so I've had to unlock all the tiles so that we don't get that horrible glitching alongside of the roads and the railway. It doesn't quite clip into the land properly. I don't know why. I don't know if I'm going to see it again. Maybe it's a conflict with one of the mods that is needed for this map, or maybe it's just a funny load. I had no idea myself. But I fixed it by using the 81 tile mod, which means I can't show you exactly where the start square starts and ends because it's all unlocked already. But you can always spin back to the beginning of the show where I gave you the top down. The rail is fine. There's one little part where it's going to look... Hang on a second. There's a tree there. There's a tree gone for a little paddle. Yeah, I don't buy into that one at all. In fact, there's another one just behind it as well. Yeah, I don't really buy into those two being so deep in the water there. Minor grumbles. Anyway, the rail feels quite believable. Apart from one little section where you can have a look at it and you go, oh, that looks a little bit steep, BonBon. And I'll let you know that I have actually, I don't have the quick view on this anymore, but I have tested this section here. It looks kind of steep, but I tell you, it's not. It's one of those delusional things that just makes you think that it's steep, but it's actually, well, it's well within the gradient that you would expect from the rail in that location. We do have some power lines, a little bit of encroaching tree here and there onto the power lines, but mostly it's cleared, which is a good sign, and you're kind of hoping that that's been done with the roads as well, aren't you? I would imagine so anyway. Let's pull the camera back a little bit. You can see the buildable areas. That's basically all those field areas. That's where you're going to be building your town of Conway. Let's have a little look for shipping routes. I'm not expecting any shipping routes today, to be fair. A few lakes and a very, very thin river. No shipping routes, no air routes either. So you are going to be restricted to road and to rail. And then if we come down to the start square area. Again, I'm not exactly sure where the start square is because I've had to unlock everything. But these rivers are a little light in the flow. So I would suggest definitely water towers on this one. And if you've got custom assets or the DLC that will allow you to deal with your sewage inland, I would suggest probably that as well. It's too pretty a map to be dumping your sewage into that river. Anyways, that's all good. It's all good. In fact, the entire map has got a really pleasing feel to it. So FrostByte, if you are watching this, any criticisms that I have, and I have got one or two, they're minor. Okay, just take a deep breath and just go, yeah, whatever. I'm trying to drum up a YouTube channel here. Okay. Right. So anyway, yes, there's good work. There is very, very good work going on there. Now, I'm going to do a little bit of jumping around, I think. Oh, once we've had a look at the hills. Now, it got a little exposed cliff edge over here. I like this, like the way it's been done. I totally believe that. And again, we've got just loads of trees. And some good shaped mountains with valleys and stuff going on there. Let's check the density going down to ground level. And I would say that's a believable density of trees. It doesn't quite feel right down at ground level, but it's not really meant to. I'm not expecting ground coverage, okay? I'm not expecting the entire map to be covered with grasses and stuff. No. Speaking of grasses, though, we do have a few of the grasses here, which have been used as reeds. Doesn't quite look right. It's a good idea. Doesn't quite match up onto the river. And we'll be talking more about that in a few moments. We do have a better looking set of a couple of lakes here. Completely love this. This on its own works beautifully. If all of the rivers and lakes looked as good as that, this would be a very high scoring map. Then we've got over here another little river over here with a little again, the grasses don't quite meet the waters, but we've got a couple of little bridge a bridge combo I'm going to go with for that. Over here, again, real life location, I imagine. This looks to me like it is in real life a golf course. And yeah, it's just got that sharpness to it that really works on this map. A few little light lakes down there as well. Don't pump your sewage into those, will you? Please don't. Right, okay. Other stuff to talk about. Is that road? Now, do you reckon there are any trees under here? Have a little look down here. It's potential. They're very, very close to the edge. So what we're going to do, I'm going to pull back and I'm going to show you. This is actually where we were earlier. There we go. I was going to see I've already tested it. But if I'll try and there's nothing underneath that, so get a bigger grip. There we go. Any green circles, I'm not choosing the nodes and segments here. The only green circles are those that are overhanging there. Let's try a little section over here. I'm going to choose the field over there and just drag over all of this. And if we come down here, you'll see we've got just overhanging trees, not actually any in the road. So that's good work. I'm going to give a little bit of credit to Conway. To FrostByte. They've done a very good job of making sure that it hasn't happened. Another road over here. Let's test this little road as well over this side. Let me grab that section there, and we'll do a great big grumps there. And you can see here we've got the whole cluster, which are hiding underneath. That again, if I was using my typical Watt map settings, those would have shown through. But under the instructions to how to run the map, I wasn't allowed to do that, so I'm going to be good. But yes, I don't think these are going to. Yeah, these are part of the tree count. But given the amount of trees on this map, I don't think tree count is something that you're going to be that worried about. You'll have tree anarchy, you'll have it all unlocked, and if you're running potato, you're just going to set your computer on fire, aren't you? Anyway, grass is right up to the edge on the lake here, so you can say, oh, this is a good area, isn't it? I'm liking this area. In fact, that little area I do like. But if we just go a few yards up the river, we have the same problem that we had earlier, where the grasses are quite old. It's almost like the water level isn't right in some places. But this map's been running for quite some time. But yes, just falling short around there. And if we head up this way, this is an interesting little area. I just feel that some of these areas should actually be a little bit underwater. The water level should definitely be a bit higher up on these areas here as well. And you can see the grasses are just pushed back a bit. So in some places this map is absolutely on point, and other places it's just slightly off point. But what is the point? The point is you have to make your own decision. Is this a 1-star map? Is it a 5-star map? Is it somewhere in between? Your vote really does count, because at the end of the month, the Viewer's Choice Top 10. Will this be one of the top 10 maps of the month? Only you can decide. Hit the I button now, or the link in the description will take you to the voting page where you can vote for free. But make sure you're voting on Conway. What do I think of Conway, New Hampshire by FrostByte? Well, aesthetically, it's quite striking. It's kept simple. We're just using Revy with some atmospheric settings, and it works really well. And even though it doesn't really bite you and say this has to be a 5-star map, I'm going to go slightly above middle 4. I think this really works. But yeah, you've got to have a beefy old computer to run it. Detailing. Where the detailing is good, it's in 4 stars. No question there. But yeah, there are some sins going on. And I think, especially with those water levels, I've got to go to a medium-high 3. Gameplay potential. Yeah, if you've got the system to be able to run it, I think this could be an interesting build. I really do. And I'm going to push into 4 stars. Low end, low 4 from me for Conway, New Hampshire by FrostByte. It's a nice map. I just feel there's a couple of little tweaks needs doing before it can get a seal of approval. Right, let's take a brief intermission. And so back with today's second map, as voted in by the BonBon buddies over on Patreon. And this one, a creator we've done 5 times in the past. We've got a 10, and we've got 2 10s, an 11, a 9, and an 8 star. And that 8 star included the dreaded 1 star for gameplay. Yeah, we see it. We've seen it a few times. Hopefully, we won't have that problem on this particular map. It's a slightly older map, but even so, not so old that the standards are still pretty decent. And I do like the start square intersection. Today's second map is Lola's Pass by ThatGuyVorian. Yes, we've done them episode 629, 782, 812, 1290 and 1323. That was the most recent. Start square, this intersection is excellent. Is absolutely excellent. I love it. And in terms of the shape of the map, it's got a real lovely feel. Got this like a valley running down the middle of it, with oil in the bottom right of this corner, and then we've got ore in the hills, and it's just it's a lovely setup. And then if you've got Sunset Harbour and you want to do some fishing, we've got everything apart from tuna. Okay, off to the workshop. What do we need? Well, it's a mass transit map. You will need mass transit for this one. There is a one-click collection with just 16 items in it, which isn't too many. It isn't too many. It could be worse. There are lots of woods, they say there. Lots of forests. And we do have a nice selection of trees. We'll be using the Mr. Miyagi's Boreal Summer theme, along with the Bonita Vista Valley LUT. And it's a map which uses the unlimited tree mod. So this is the mod that we were using before, Tree Anarchy. And I met this upon loading the map. I've not had this in what I'm aware it happens, but I've not actually had this in what map before. Just a complete stationary line of traffic. I sat here waiting to see whether or not that bus was going to do its stuff, and it didn't. So let's see what happens if we delete it using a traffic manager. There we go. And the car behind it starts moving, and the truck starts moving. Yeah, it was just the bus. The bus was just sat there. You ain't go nowhere. Everybody else is fine, and I thought I'd just let these long vehicles run through, just in case it was long vehicles that was clamming up there. But they're quite happy to drive through as well. So yeah, if you have a problem like that, then just feel free to delete whatever's causing your traffic to stop. Anyway, down to ground level, and we'll do a little fly over. In terms of highway, there are 2 routes across the map. They don't interact with each other. This one's a big highway, 4 lanes in each direction. Nothing wrong with that, because mass transit. You will need mass transit for this one. And there's plenty of things to mumble and grumble about. Okay, first of all, I mean, the unlimited tree mod. If you're using Tree Anarchy these days and you really want to play this map, it's a map that you're going to need to switch back to the unlimited tree mod. I'm not blaming ThatGuyVorian for it, because this map was made at that time. It's just a map that's taken a while to get reviewed on the show, and mods move on, and at some point probably Tree Anarchy will become obsolete, and we'll be moaning about maps that have got Tree Anarchy in the same way that we moan about maps that have got the unlimited tree mod. It's progress, and it's just some of those things. If you want to play an older map, sometimes the mods that we use now are just not compatible with them. Right, okay, coming up to a big old bridge. I'm going to call it a big... It's not really what we would normally call a big old bridge on the show, but it's for the BonBonBingo players. Anyway, we've got a big... It's quite a long bridge. See how we've got this long, slow elevation. We get up to a gentle height here. We cross the river, and it's a pretty solid river. It's not like a little creek or a brook, is it? It's a pretty solid river. And then we come down to land all the way over there. This seems like a bit of an overkill for a bridge that's just crossing out. Let's see, where is it? Is it crossing at the narrowest point? It is even crossing at the narrowest point. So it's crossing at the right location, but do we really need it to be much more than, say, 3 times the width of the river? I don't think so. I just don't think so. Yeah, talking points. Is it wrong? Is it heck? It's a city builder game. You build what you want, and map makers can build what they want. And this is like a slightly fantasy map. It's been created, Lola being his grandmother, and sort of map that I think she would have liked to have lived on. So yeah, this is good, and this is good. This intersection. So I mean, I had no idea if this has been upped from the workshop, but even if it has, and it was not hand tooled by ThatGuyVorian, you've still got to do work to get it to work. And this works so well. I was expecting some street light clipping or some pillars in the highways or nothing. The only thing I could find that's really worth grumbling about is this little bit of road here, which is tucked underneath a highway crossover. It's just a little bit steeper than I would have liked it to be. And even then, that's not really the worst issue in the world. So, and it's tucked away and hidden, so who cares? I'm sure somebody does. Anyway, so that's the highway. The highway then just like heads off. We're going to jump across to the other road. Now, this road does not connect up. Does not connect up with that highway. And it snakes its way. This is more of a snaky road. We're going to have some switchbacks, some very nicely done switchbacks in a moment. They're going to take us up the side of a hill, or down the side of a hill actually, because we're coming down the other route. And this is a very pleasing set of switchbacks. I like that. All credit to the creator, and the rock work around it just adds a little bit of interest, which is nice. We have rail running alongside it. There are a couple of rail routes on the map. This one here, which goes all the way... there we go. This is the closest you get to the start square of the rail. That's what I should point out. So there's your start square there. Rail is over this way. Can I show you? There we go. We can do this one. Right, so we've got probably tile number 3 to get to the rail, which isn't too bad. It's not too bad, but those are like rail in the start square. It is too bad because you're not going to get it. If we follow the rail off this way, though, in the opposite direction, this again takes a fairly pleasing route. It's an ordinary route. I would say it's not very dynamic. It's an ordinary route, sort of route that I would expect on a map like this. It works fine. Nips underneath the crossover there, which I don't mind at all, and then loops around and heads up. In fact, heads up and connects up with this rail route over here. Now that joins up with the edge of the map over on the horizon over there, but you can't get down to the start square from that route because we don't have a connection heading that direction. So if that's what you want, you might have to put in your own little separate rail connection. You don't need every rail connection to be connected. Like, how about this one over here? This one's not connected. This is where we started the flyover today, and well, we have a bit of a rail there. It just stops dead. Just stops dead right there. So there's possibilities for extra rail connections if you're using the 81 tile mod. Right, okay, the river. This is a very pleasing shaped river. I like this river shape wise. I think there's some things about in terms of tree detailing that could be done to make it a bit more interesting, or rock detailing to make it a bit more interesting, but I don't mind it at all. I'd be very happy to build on the map with this river network, so that's cool. It comes up to this big like lazy lake here, which is fed by a little waterfall. Waterfall was fine. I mean, got a little bit of overkill on the vanilla rocks down here, but again, there's nothing wrong with them, and we've got a fairly pleasing little waterfall there. The river continues up and off the edge of the map, but it is also fed from up in the hills. Now, speaking of little lakes, the lake up here, I just don't buy into at all. I mean, it's fine. I'm going to call it the Splat Lake, or Lake Splat, because it's a bit of a splat. The shape of that, I don't know. If it was like grassed up and whatever, so it was just like a marshy boglands up there, possibly. But as it's been done, who really cares, eh? Who really cares? It's up there in the hills. Nobody's going to see it. Beaches. If you want beaches, we've got beach area down here. Beaches are fine. I've got too much to say about the beaches. They're just fine. The beach around here is quite fun as well. This big old Bonbon Island going on here. I could call this a Bonbon Island. It's far enough from the mainland. I could settle here. Might be a bit too big for me to settle on, actually. So, yeah, a little bit too large for Bonbon Island. It is defended, though. There are a couple more gun placements elsewhere that are just going to make sure that nobody's going to invade this island. So maybe I will settle on that island, personally. Shipping routes, as we are down here at the water's edge. We do have a shipping route here, which is gonna loop about. Then we've got a split here. Now there's a bit of a problem with that split there, because it splits into 2 different exit points, which means that any ship starting from, say, here, it could be coming back around here, loops up this way, reaches here, it could then turn a hard right in a somewhat silly looking maneuver, heading off towards the edge of the map over here. So a little shipping triangle, or just a direct connection straight off the edge of the map from the other side of the island, possibly, maybe. Water flow, yeah, I mean, this is covered, I think, pretty much on the workshop page. You're going to be, this is it. You've got this lake here. There's no motion in that lake, so just water towers. You can pump sewage into it until you get access to the river, or use mods or DLC, whatever your normal solution is, until you get to the river, of course. Right, so it's feeling good so far. I'm liking this hill as well. The texture on this hill, because I would say we are using the Boreal Summer theme. The Bonita Vista Valley LUT just brings out the red in the soil, and it just gives it a real lovely feel. Vorian, if you're watching this, that is very nice indeed. In fact, the other side of the valley, which is a good buildable area down here, is just a whole lump of rock over here as well, which just looks very solid. And this is the one with that little lake splat tucked away in it. The hills on this map are just very pleasing, and I'm all for that. With room to build in between them, which is cool. Got a whole bunch of lakes. These lakes are a little bit like lake splats, but these are on flat land, and they just feel like they would be just like weird and odd shaped, which can happen in flat lands. Up there in the hills are a shape, and that would force the lake to be a different shape. That's why the lakes down here I'm good with, and the lake up there I'm less good with. Right, okay. Now we do have one last point of order, and that is here. See how we get the gantry breaking up these 2 bits, and there's a very good reason for that, because this is a mass transit 4-lane highway. But this is a network extensions 2 4-lane highway. Yeah, you do need network extensions 2 on this, and it's not listed as a requirement, which can only mean one thing. Technically speaking, this map is going to be broken, because if you haven't got network extensions 2, the map won't load. Also, remember this little snaking road over here? Also network extensions 2. So you are going to need network extensions 2 for both of those. That's not a big problem. Just subscribe to it. Now you've got the information, your map isn't going to be broken. But technically speaking, without me telling you that, you would be loading this map up and you'd be wasting your time and you'd be crying about it, and well, that's not very nice, is it? Anyway, what do you think of today's second map? Is it a 1-star map? Is it a 5-star map? Is it somewhere in between? Your vote really does count. We use it at the end of the month for the Viewers' Choice Top 10. Will this be one of the top 10 maps of the month? Only you can decide. Hit the I button now, or the link in the description. It will take you to the voting page where you can vote for free. But make sure you are voting on Lola's Pass, because that's this map. Okay, what do I think of Lola's Pass? Do you know what? All told, I think it's a very neat little design. Is there enough in this, though, to qualify for the 4th star? I think there are areas that are, but I think overall it's probably sitting at a high 3 stars, so I'm going to go with that. Detailing. Big shout out for the start square intersection. Absolute beauty. Really worth just looking at the map for the start square intersection. Across the entirety of the map, I think, again, there's not quite enough for me to give it that 4th star. So I'm going to go for a very high 3 stars again. Gameplay potential. If it wasn't broken, because it is only going to get 1 star because it is broken because of network extensions too, I might be tempted to push into 4 stars. Probably would be a high 3 because it's not totally inspiring in terms of how to build on it, but Lola's passed by ThatGuyVorian. If you have network extensions too, it's not going to let you down and it should be a fun build. Plenty of room to build as well. It's not that you can't build a big city on it. But I like those little things that are going to force you to shape your cities, and there's just a little bit too much open space without tree definition to force you into something. Yeah, it's unlikely I'm going to play the map anyway. So, but is it unlikely that you're going to use the word of the day? If you do, you're part of the 20 and out elite, and I look forward to seeing how you're going to use the word of the day in the comments. I've been BonBonB, and I'll see you very, very soon.